Good morning. This is Mrs. G, and I'm here today, and I will be interviewing a wonderful, wonderful author. Her name is Dr. Gail Hayes. Good morning, Dr. Hayes.
Good morning, Miss G. How you doing today?
I'm doing wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. And I have a few questions I would like to ask to you. And the first question I would like to ask is, do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself? That's the first question. That's
Okay. Um, let's see. I am a military brat. I lived in Asia for 4 years and in Europe for about 12 years. I lived in Washington, D.C., worked on Capitol Hill. I was the first Black female police officer and firefighter in Chapel Hill, North Carolina. And I had my children when I was a little bit older than most people. So I ended up going into the schools with my children and creating a whole new life because I love the world of children.
So when did you first realize that you wanted to be an author?
Well, actually, it wasn't me that realized it. I was in the 6th grade. I wrote my first book, wrote and published my first book in the 6th grade.
Wow.
I had a teacher at Fort Bragg, North Carolina, Mrs. Waple. I will never forget Mrs. Waple. Now, one of the wonderful things about this is that you talk about diversity. Usually, a lot of us who are Black were encapsulated in the Black community. Well, Miss Waple was white, and she was my teacher, and I was the teacher's pet, and people couldn't take it. And she used to say to me all the time, she said, "You're just so brilliant." So they had a writing contest, and I'll never forget, it's really kind of sad when I think back. I just didn't, I always, during my day, being a baby boomer, I really had a problem with the way they treated the difference in boys and girls.
Yeah.
And it seemed like they gave boys such freedom. And so I wrote this poem and I published this book, illustrated it, and I won the 6th grade writing contest. And I will never forget Miss Waple. The prizes were a Schaefer fountain pen and a box of chocolates. The Schaefer fountain pen was the first prize. The box of chocolates was the second prize. But I didn't want that Schaefer fountain pen. I was in the 6th grade. So I went to the second place winner, and negotiated a trade. Well, Miss Waple stopped. She would not sanction the trade. And she said, "No, Gail, you're not going to get the box of chocolates. You're going to keep the pen because one day you're going to be a multi-published author." And I thought Mrs. Waple was nuts because I really was upset. I wanted that chocolate. And that beautiful pen, I remember just taking it apart and being angry about it. God, I wish I had that pen now, be a collector's item. But I wrote this book, it's really short. If I were a little boy, I'd dream of splendor and of joy. I'd run in fields and by lakes and play with little green garter snakes. I'd run in the sand and play in the sun. I'd run, jump, and have lots of fun. Yes, if I were a little boy, I'd dream of splendor and of joy. I wanted the freedom that boys had. And at that time, especially girls did not have that. So I won the 6th grade writing contest. So that's where my inspiration came from. Miss Waple, she kept telling me, write. And I wrote all the school plays. And I was in a mostly white school, and I wrote all the school plays, and then I sang and I danced, and I was a creative and didn't realize, but Miss Waple could see it, and she spoke that into my life.
How wonderful is that to have someone to pour into your life? This is the power of educators, not necessarily
a teacher at that,
right?
Not teacher at that. Okay.
Right. Not necessarily. I kind of distinguish between teachers and educators.
Absolutely.
Right. Because you don't necessarily have to be a licensed teacher to be an educator.
Thank you.
Okay.
That's what they call me.
What are some of your writing quirks?
Well, I'm a person, I can write a book while sitting here talking to you. Most people have to focus. Yeah. I kind of have this part in my brain that even while I'm sitting here talking to you, I have a book manuscript open. And wow. I can type while I'm talking to you. And I think that's because I'm not just a writer, I am a communicator. I'm both writer and speaker. I'm a speaker who happens to write and a writer who happens to speak. So I can be I can come up with a book idea and type while I'm talking to somebody about something totally different. So that's a little quirk. People say, how do you do that? I said, it's just
That's
the way my brain
amazing.
is wired. It's just the way my brain is wired.
I can't hardly do this interview with my grandkids running around. So that is really, I love it.
Well, I'm the firstborn of 7, so I had to learn how to survive. My brain is still wired on survival mode.
Okay. What was one of the most surprising things you learned in creating your books?
Very honestly, that quirk that we just talked about,
Mm-hmm.
and that I am, what do they call, what do they people call me? Prolific.
Mm-hmm.
I can, this stuff just flows from me. It's like a well, and it doesn't matter who the audience is. It can be men, women, or children. It's just that there is a human need. I can write about it or speak about it and articulate about it. Even if I'm not well versed in it, it's like I hear what people say and I hear what they don't say. That was one of the things that's one of the things that I've learned about myself.
Okay. And do you have a book, a recent book that you would like to show or share with us?
Yes. Here is one of my books.
My favorite. I was hoping you would do that one.
Summer and
One,
Me.
because yellow is my favorite color, obviously, and it's in the summertime.
This book, Summer and Me, I wrote a lot of my children's books. I wrote with my children. My children are now in their 20s. I wrote them when they were young. I wrote this particular book in 2004, but I never published it until, what is it? Oh, last month. And here we are, 16 years later? And then another one is Open a Book, Step on a Star. And I wrote this because I was working with 2 educational entities in our state, UNCTV, Durham County, Durham Public Schools, and I was trying to bring Durham County Library, all of them to the table to do a literacy piece so every kindergartner could get their card. And I said, and they need to be able to focus on literacy. And this book talks about the importance of reading and what it does and how when you open up a book, you can step on a star. You can have all types of adventures. So that's just 2. And I have several others. I have probably, I don't know, right now in print, I probably just have right around 10 books. Mm-hmm. And they're not all for children, but I have one that'll be finished in the next week. That goes with the series. Matter of fact, the summer book, again, mm-hmm. It's a part of a series called Crunchity Crunch and Other Season Sounds. And Crunchity Crunch is the sound you make when you're in the fall with the leaves.
Yeah.
So I've written a book on all the 4 seasons, and this is the summer one. I do have another one called Drip Drop, but we're in the process of revising that and having new updated illustrations. So I won't show you that one, but actually Drip Drop was the one that started the series because my daughter was in kindergarten and he had to do a group project on the rain and the sound of the rain.
So where can they contact you or order your books?
You can order my books on Amazon. Just look for Gail Hayes or Dr. Gail Hayes. I have an author page and all my books are there. I also have books I've written for women and for men. So all of the books that are on Amazon should be, just look for Dr. Gail Hayes, Gailhayes, or they can find, just if you Google me, you'll find me. I'm also on Facebook, Handle Your Business Girl. And you probably say, what does that have to do with it? Well, I do a lot with women who are directly connected to children and husbands and sons. So my core audience is women because we're usually the ones that buy the books.
Yeah, and the women, for me, are the core of the community. They're the core of the house, and we are the core of the community. So you're directly connected to the center of every community that touches your books or that get to hear you lecture. That information will be spreaded out. So that's a wonderful place to be in. You are a wonderful vessel of information. And I'm so glad that you're so willing to share so much of your knowledge, your understanding, and your compassion for others to be the best version of themselves.
Well, thank you, Miss G. I appreciate that. Thank you for allowing me to come, for you to, and come and be interviewed and to speak my passion, because it indeed is my passion. I believe that sometimes all it takes is one word to change and shape a destiny. I really do. And I also believe that as educators, because people tell me all the time, Dr. G, you're an educator. And I said, okay, this is what I would say. My name be educator. I really believe as an educator, our job is to be, even though when we're women, we're the uteruses.
Yes.
We incubate things. There's nothing like the power of a uterus. It's nothing. We nurture, we protect, we infuse, we do all kinds of things. And we can either influence or infect our atmosphere as women. That's how powerful we are.
Yes. And this is why I like to be called Ursula, the literacy doula.
All right.
Helping people birth their creative spirit within them.
Yes, absolutely. It's all about giving birth and then nurturing those young ones to make sure their feet are on the right path, going in the right direction. So many times we have to deal with, we all suffer from pain as children, and that's what helped to shape us as adults. And that's why I like to reach the babies and say it's okay to have fun. It's okay to be beautiful, feel beautiful, and feel like you can do whatever it is that you want to do. It's usually the adults sometimes in our lives that stop us from doing what we've been created to do, because of something that happened to them. So I have a mission to help families. I also, like I said, I also write for adults. And here's what I forgot. Here's one of my books too. It's called The Power of a Parent Who Leads. Because I believe that parents are leaders. If we would look at ourselves as leaders, sometimes it kind of shifts the paradigm, it kind of shifts it. And so I just, a parent, I know you have to lead your children. Your children are watching everything you do, and they hear everything you say, and they hear what you don't say. I once heard a mother say, well, I know my children. I said, honey, your children know you too.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so the bottom line is we think we know our children, but our children know us too. So, no matter how, listen, if you still have children alive and stuff is not right with them, go to them. It doesn't matter. There's nothing like the power of a parent who leads. Nothing. And
on that note, we're going to tell everyone, I'm going to say thank you so much for this interview. It was great talking to you. And I would love the opportunity to maybe talk to you again, and we could focus on maybe just one or two of your books.
I would be honored, Miss G. Thank you so much for having me as your guest today. Thank you so much. Mwah.
Mwah.